Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, everybody. We are the fourth quarter storytellers coming to you to tell some stories today. And I am Cynthia Merritt. I am 60-ish years old who found myself approaching retirement age with very little savings. So I had to make some changes, put those changes in place, and I am moving back toward a wonderful trajectory in this fourth quarter of my life. I said it so smoothly, Val.
You I'm
Let me turn. I know. Let me turn it over to my co-host.
I'm not going to try to say the word. I'm to say my name is Valerie Davis, and I too am going through changes, went through some changes, going through some changes, prepping myself for the changes to come, um, living life to the best of my ability, learning from life, putting new examples and rules out there because you can do that as you grow and go. You can change things about your life to make it easier, and I'm here as well to receive and give great information.
All right, all right. Thank you so much, Val. You guys, so today we're going to have a great conversation about letting go. Because as we're going through life, and I'm experiencing this in my life, you guys, I had to let some people go,
Mhm.
and it's a difficult challenge to do this, but we wanted to talk about it a little bit to help people with what emotions and things that you may be experiencing if you're having to do something like this. But when we see no return on the investment, because we make investments in people's lives, whether that it be investment of time, emotional energy, or mentorship, if you might mentor someone, or financially support someone. It can be frustrating watching them, and really disheartening sometimes, and even sometimes disorienting for us. We watch someone go through life, we're trying to invest in them in one of these ways so that they can be helped, to maybe guide them to another direction, or a direction that we think, or even that they tell us that they want to be going in. And then we what we put together here is a conversation to give a little structure to the way that we can approach this situation with clarity and integrity. So, the first thing I want to talk about here, and remember, I said, you guys, I'm going through this in my life. I had to let a few people go, and it's really difficult sometimes to go through this. But what is the return on the investment? What does that mean to us? So before you take any action, just clarify exactly what the return on the investment that I have made in this person's life means to me. So, what kind of return was I expecting? Was I expecting gratitude from that person? Maybe some reciprocity?
Mhm.
What I always want is to see growth,
Yes.
see that growth, you guys. That's what warms my heart when I invest in someone like that.
Mhm.
Loyalty, is that what you wanted? That wasn't what I wanted. And then performance, performance, that is what you when you see the growth, when they're performing in that growth pattern. So were your efforts that you gave them, was it an investment in that person, or was it a gift? So those are the things that we need to clarify. Now, here's a tip for us. Not all of the investments in people will yield measurable outcomes. So we won't always see that reward. We won't always see that growth. Some of the initially, or maybe never, but some of the growth that we would want to see may be long term. So it may come, but it may be further down the line. So we just have to stay in their lives and keep in contact, and keep communication open so you can see.
Mhm.
And but it's not always guaranteed.
That is so true. That is so true. So then how does that make you feel when you put all this when you have this investment in someone? And like you said, sometimes it's long term, sometimes it's not. How do you prepare for that? How does that make you feel? What do you do next? Right. Right. So, well, a couple of things you can do is when you think about it, you want to audit the situation and you want to audit it honestly. Look at things for what they are, for what they seem. What is it? My mom used to say, if a duck quacks, it's a duck. So see if what it is.
Yes, yes.
Like, okay, I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to ask yourself, when it comes to the people that you're around and that you're investing in, are these people truly unwilling, or are they unable right now? Are they unable to invest in you or to receive who you are, what you put into them? You want to ask yourself that question. You got to get deep down and gritty with yourself and be honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is it a pattern across multiple relationships or limited to a few individuals? So what you're seeing is just like a constant thing that's going on with everyone that you're speaking with. So maybe not everyone, just some people.
Mm-hmm.
Some people that are in your life, your reactions, your return, your um what you're receiving and perceiving, putting out. Is it, or is it the other individual, your relationships, work, family, friends, you know, um, are there people who are adding value, but you're overlooking them? Now, I've had that issue before. I've had the issue before because of my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I look back at it, I'm like, wow, I got from here to there. This person really was beneficial and good for me, and I was good for them in my life, in our lives, but I just kind of overlooked it,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
the right way. So there was great energy, but then there was also interruptions and distractions where I didn't see that great energy.
Mm-hmm.
And that can happen. And this is where you now once again you're being honest with yourself. Are this person adding value to your life? You know,
Mm-hmm.
someone, or is it someone that you should, hey, let's just move away from this. Let's not be in each other's life again. Or you sit back and just look at yourself and say, let me just assess the situation, assess this person. So you want to take stock. All right, couple of action items. You want to take stock. You want to write down what you're giving versus
Mm-hmm.
what you've gotten.
That's good.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just from a material standpoint, but in energy, trust, and support. Material can come and go, but when you get that trust, that's something major. That is
Mm-hmm.
major. That's what I want. I'd rather have trust. I'd rather have that great energy, those good vibes, and I'd rather have that support. And I'd rather give my energy and my great vibes and my support and my trust. Material things come and go.
Yes.
So
Yes.
write it all down, what you're giving versus what you have gotten.
That is good. That is so good. And then one thing about what you were saying is it a pattern? Look at it if it's a pattern. And I had a friend that was in my life years ago. And I had to cut her off. But she always had so many issues
Mm-hmm.
with her marriage, with her finances. Everything was just an issue, everything was a challenge. She was just always not depressed clinically, but
Mm-hmm.
just had a depressed spirit. And
Mm-hmm.
she was a complainer. She complained about everything. So I asked her, I always, we would talk and she would always come to me because I don't give unsolicited advice. I
Right.
just don't. But she came to me and would ask me these things, and then I would give her a solution, and I would try to give her multiple solutions. But everything I said as a solution, she would counter that with, well, I can't do this because
Mm-hmm.
this is in the way. And I'm like, okay, look, you have to you have to come and try to meet me halfway with solutions. You have to at least put forth an effort with something. But then what I got to know is that the more I talked to people who were in relationship with her, whether it be a friend, husband, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
that was what she did across the board.
Right.
So it was a pattern. She was just a complainer. And so when I found that out, I said, look, she got to be gone now. So I had to cut her loose because
It's
there was just no helping her.
Exactly. Isn't that amazing how some can thrive by just complaining?
Yes, yes. Some people are just literally complainers. They get that, I was gonna say get off, but I mean they just get something from
Mhm.
complaining about absolutely everything. And you'll notice that if you even go out to eat with them, they're gonna complain about everything that's on the menu. And when the meal comes, they're gonna complain about that. And I'm like, what are you grateful for in life? You know?
Girl.
But anywho,
And even when they go out to dinner, even if it's something that you're gifting them, they complain about it. They're not even because they're
paying for it,
oh
girl.
exactly. They're just so excited. And I hate that term when they say misery love company. Well, see, I'm my own person.
That's true.
I've been a follower. I've never been that.
Me either. Me
Yeah.
either.
You're miserable,
Hmm.
that's you. I'm not going to get on that boat. I don't like the way that boat is going. I don't
I
want
know. I know.
to
Yeah, because and we used to call it the Me Too Club. You know, girl, I'm so tired. Girl, me too. You know, is everybody tired? It's 8 o'clock in the morning. We just got to work. You know. Anywho,
I like that.
okay. I know. Misery loves company. Me too club. But but with those kind of people, you have to really reestablish your boundaries with them, y'all. I had to cut some boundaries with that. But we want to balance and make sure that everything is consistent and one-sided. So we want to scale back with those people. You don't need to cut people off
Mhm.
completely. You can just reduce their access. So if it's somebody, a family member or somebody really close, you don't have to cut them off completely, but you have to reduce their access to your feelings, your emotions, your efforts financially and emotionally and however you're supporting them. Just communicate clearly so that everybody knows. I notice that I've been giving a lot here, or I'm not sure what's making a difference, and so you have to look at what's happening, in your mind and see what do you see. Are you giving a lot, and is it making a difference to them? Are they changing their roles and how they're walking through life and moving through life?
Mhm.
But you've got to put a boundary up there because you can't fix and start observing what they're doing, because you can't just stay in giving mode of yourself and your finances and things like that. Just stop doing the fixing and then start observing to see what they're doing. Are they making some changes? And if not, eventually, like I said, I had to cut 3 people off. I had been doing that for years, and a couple of them decades. And
Yeah,
I had to observe, and I had to stop fixing, and just eventually I had to actually cut them off.
baby. Had to cut friends off, relatives off, whatever.
Hmm.
If it's not yielding you a result, then hey, you cannot deal with it.
No.
And we have to know this, that Cynthia, that not every relationship needs to be productive. So we have to shift our focus,
Yep.
and focus on our core energy, just like you focus on your core values when you're at work,
Hmm.
right? So focus on your core energy. And where should that core energy go? Where is it? What should it be doing at this point for you? Well, my energy needs to be in a space and place where I'm respected. My values, my time, my thoughts, my energy, my love, my support should be respected. Okay. And mutually enriching. Oh my God, enrichment. Aligned with my values and my goals, aligned with your values and your goals. So you have to shift your focus. And sometimes it's hard. And then look, I'm holding my head like, okay, like you really got to know, like, hey, that means I'm really saying something because I'm holding my head.
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, it's got to be aligned, guys. We have to shift our focus because we're very important to ourselves. And whomever we're giving this great energy to, we have to be important to them. We can't waste that. They got to know who we are. They got to know who we are and how we are in this world. And if you're spending your time with someone, for whatever reason it may be, they should know those things. So some things you just got to shift, and then you got to let some things go. Got to let it go. What's that song? Looks like another love TKO. Got to let it go. Right?
What, Teddy Pendergrass? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you got to let it go. So,
Let
a
it
couple
go.
things you want to do is you want to invest upward and outward. You know what that means? That means you got to look at new circles.
Mm,
Got to look at new circles.
okay.
Nobody can walk through this world just by themselves, even though people say, "Oh, I don't need anybody." No, we
Mhm.
that's how we progress. So you want to look for new circles with shared drive. You want to have that shared energy, that shared one thing that you guys just like gravitate to together. Like, oh my God, and we can feed off each other. You can't pour from an empty cup, all right? And nor can you receive from too full of a cup. So you got to be willing. You got to give, and you got to be able to receive. Um, you want to have that integrity, that momentum, that drive. God said you got to look for new circles, and it is okay.
Absolutely.
I want to say about that though.
Okay.
You look for your new circles. You're old enough, and you know now it's okay to have expectations, right?
Mhm.
As soon as you figure out and see this is not going in the right direction, it's okay to walk away from it, and it's okay to let it go. But you won't know if that new thing is for you. It's going to help you and drive you unless you just take a stab at it. All right. So look for new circles. All right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Such a good word there.
Mm,
So, what another thing too, now we're talking about looking for those new circles because what you're doing is protecting your inner resources, protecting yourself. So, giving for all of us usually is an act of strength, and it should be, and not a sacrifice. So, when to make sure it's not something you're sacrificing from yourself, but acting as a result of strength, what you want to give. And then if you feel better, then you've likely over extended.
mm-hmm,
So if you feel better, you've likely overextended. And then think about resentment. It's often a signal that we have abandoned our own needs for others. So if you start to feel that resentment toward that individual because you have been giving them into them or
mm-hmm,
pouring into them and you don't see any even gratitude, you guys, any gratitude whatsoever or any change in their habits and how they're moving through life, then we start to resent them. And that's just a signal that we have abandoned our own needs
mm-hmm,
or the needs of them. And then what we want to do is practice selective generosity in that respect because it's okay for us to help everybody that we can help, but not at the cost of our own well being or calling. So when we think about our calling in life, don't help people and be generous to people at the expense of your calling or your own mental well being, or your finances. So all three of those.
that is so true, especially finances.
Absolutely.
Yes, honey. This is where it's like one of those things where you just got to let the natural consequences play out.
Yeah.
All right. So I've witnessed and I've been through it as well, where some people won't grow until they face their own pain
Mm-hmm.
or stagnation. So when you're in that gut of it and you're facing something, now you're like, oh wow,
Mm-hmm.
now there's growth. So your constant investment might be shielding you from necessary struggles. So I always use myself as an example. I can't use anybody else because I don't know where everybody goes through. I can only use my situation. And as I spoke with you, said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago about my yellow couch experience,
Yes.
I so much through that pain. I never knew how much growth I needed within myself. So,
Mm-hmm.
again, if I needed that growth, I'm sure that someone else is going through the same thing and need growth. So, um, but here's the thing: you can't set yourself on fire by trying to keep somebody else warm. You have to remember, okay, hey, I can only work within my means. I can only do what I can. I can only provide what I can, and everything that I'm providing is genuine. See, my provision goes a long way, and it's genuinely. So, but you can't put yourself out to try to help someone else. So it's got to be natural consequences. Those things got to come naturally. All right.
And Val, that's something that I did with one of the people that, and I haven't completely cut this person off, but I had to definitely put distance between us because there is no growth. And I have just poured into them financially, emotionally, and mentally. And there's no change. And so that person needs to fall and hit their head on the concrete in
Mm-hmm.
order to see they have to go through
Mm-hmm.
the struggle, and I cannot help anymore. I can't help at all. I have to just watch that play out. Yes.
Yes. You
And
when
it's difficult.
Yes. And that's what I'm going to say. When you've depleted yourself from that standpoint, emotionally, mentally, and financially, all three,
Yes.
it's time to let them go. It's time to let it go, let them go, let it go TKO. Because
Yeah.
now you're now putting yourself in more pain. You now opened up the floodgates of painhood. I don't like that neighborhood.
It was a technical knockout
Yeah, it was a
for me.
you got to let it go. So
Yeah.
um so you got to make the right decisions, and don't beat yourself up now, because sometimes we go through things, and but we're learning. That's what this whole conversation is about.
Yeah.
Admitting what we've been through, admitting what we've learned. All right, so we got a couple of set some ground rules, some ways to work through the emotional aftermath when things like that happen, because it depletes you. Like you said, you put so much into this relationship, so what about the aftermath? What comes next? What do you do?
Yep.
You know?
That's true. Yeah. And so what you have to do when you come to that realization is something that I had to do. And first, and I'm still doing it,
Mm-hmm.
you have to acknowledge and feel the grief.
Yes.
Because I acknowledge, listen, I have to cut this person loose because they're just not taking anything that I'm giving and putting it to any productivity whatsoever in their life. I don't see any reward. I don't see any change in behavior or whatever. So there's a sense of grief, almost as if you've lost someone. And that's not just for the person, but for me, but the time and the love that I have given, and
Yes.
that's what one of the things that hurts so much. And then also the dreams. Oh, this is so much. The dreams or the hopes that I have had for not only the relationship with us,
Mm-hmm.
but the what I wanted for them, the
Mm-hmm.
reward that I saw for them that they did not see. And you know what? And it's because they don't have the confidence in themselves to in themselves. Yeah, because I'm talking about one person now. To to be able to take this and run with it because I want more for them, and they even said this at one point. You want more for me than I want for myself, and that's sad for them to have said that and realized that,
Oh.
isn't it though? But and actually now that I've cut them off, you know how they feel, how the relationship is. They feel hatred toward me
No.
as much as I've given to them,
No.
and now I'm their enemy. But and it's just hard to watch what I have tried to build in them. Look, I'm sitting here going down the memory lane. Let me get out of that. So anyway,
I got it.
it's valid for us to mourn something, even if we have to choose to let it go. I
Mm-hmm.
still mourn it. Yeah.
And I understand that, but that's how life is designed. It's by design. We're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to give, and we're supposed to make the other individual better. So whatever type of ship it is, whatever type of relationship it is, that's what we are designed to do. We enhance it. We enhance each other. So when you can't receive that, it's no fault of mine. I remember going to counseling once, and I remember the counselor saying, you say what needs to come out of your mouth and out of your mind. You're not responsible for how the other person sees it and what they do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not responsible for that. So if they receive it the wrong way, then there's a barricade in their mind of them not understanding what's going on. So we have to get to the point where we just gotta let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So let go of the return on investment mindset. That's that mindset. It's that
Mm-hmm.
mindset. So it's kind of tough, but Lord knows it's necessary.
Yeah.
See, I can make comments on everybody, not Fantasia. It's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships aren't business deals. And I hate to be treated like I'm a business deal. I don't want to treat you like you're a business deal. Right. So even when they feel the relationships may be additional in hindsight, but if you focus too long on the ROI, on the return on investment, you'll trap yourself. You know how you're gonna trap yourself? You're gonna trap yourself in bitterness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be bitter. I don't want you to be bitter. I don't want anyone to be bitter. I want to be a loving person. I want every bit of my energy to exude out all the time. So instead of being bitter, so let's try a couple of things. All right? Let's try reframing. Let's try reframing. So I gave from a place of love and generosity, right? You gave from a place of love and generosity. That says more about yourself and that says more about me than it could ever say about that other individual on the there.
Okay.
So reframe what you're thinking, reframe your thought process. All right. Self-compassion. You gave because you were someone who loved well.
Yeah.
I give because I'm someone who loves well. I love with my soul, which is
Mm-hmm.
I'm just loving from my heart. So not because you were naive, not because I was naive, not because anybody was naive. We did what we were supposed to do, and we have that self-compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So you gave because you were someone who loved well.
Mm-hmm. That is so true.
Everything else for the rest of my life, remember that you gave because you were someone who loved well. And
Yeah.
can't feel any different about that. They can have all the hatred in the world, honey. Let that go down in the books with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Let it go. Do-do-do.
I know that's right. We're gonna keep on singing that song in our head all day long.
Keep it going.
But and I'm gonna keep on forever until they get their life right too. I'm gonna, every time I see them, I'm gonna start in my mind.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, because we with this letting it go, we have to now accept what we can't control, y'all, because we cannot control how others are receiving and reciprocating with our efforts. And if you see none, no receiving or of it, or no reciprocating of it, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
So whether they grow, change, or stay the same, and
Mm-hmm.
in my situation, that person has stayed the same, honey, after decades. And then what do they do with your love? I told you they feel like they hate me right now, so they're throwing the love away. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those are the things that we can't control. So
Mm-hmm.
once we identify what we can't control, you better let it go. And then what can you control
Yeah.
is the boundaries that we do set. I've got boundaries set around my
Yes.
spirit, my mindset, my feelings, my finances, and then any future investments. I'm not making any investments at all in that person anymore.
That's true.
That's the way I should feel.
Mm-hmm.
And then who we choose to love and support going forward. That's a good lesson because it helps us choose when we see those same kind of patterns and the way this person moves in life. If they come to you for some advice or help, put up a boundary. I'm like, nope, this is one of them people who's gonna just take everything from me and give
Mm-hmm.
no return on investment. So yeah, that's the boundary setting in with something I can control.
That's true. And that means you're not waiting for an apology. You're not waiting for acknowledgement or gratitude. That gratitude would never bring peace. So how are you going to get closure? What does closure look like for you at this point? What does closure look like for me? We're not thinking about them. We're thinking about ourselves. We need that closure so that we can move forward, right?
Yes.
So closure may look like for me, I can journal. I can journal for myself. I can journal how I feel. I can journal how I feel, just me, and how this person made me feel. What did I learn from it? And I can write a letter to this person. I don't have to send it.
No, that's true. That is true.
Letter.
Writing helps you get it out. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It expresses your truth. I can say whatever I want. This flippity flip, 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 flip.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say in this letter.
Exactly.
That's a cleansing.
Mm-hmm.
The cleansing. Now I'm feeling better. Now I'm not going to send it, but it helps me,
Right.
And so by the time I see whomever this person may be or they may be, my whole perspective, I'm well with it. It is well. It is well with my soul by this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ritualizing the end, burn a note, just like a ritual. Just
Yes.
can create something. Burn a little note, delete old messages, walk a symbolic route. Now I know at my church we have I think it's like every third Sunday we do this service at 6 o'clock in the evening. And what we do is we bring our bills, family member names, and pictures or whatever, and we
Mm-hmm.
and whatever we're believing in God for.
Okay.
We bring that to the altar. They put oil on the altar. They put oil on it. They pray over it, and then at the end, they burn it.
Mm.
So you've signed and sealed the deal that whatever you were believing in God for, it is done.
Okay.
It's done, it's complete. So now it's no more. You have no reason to be concerned about it. You have to
Wow.
be, worried at all anymore. So um, so that's the end for it. That's
Mm-hmm.
the end of it. So just
Okay.
note where I just burned all that. I cast all that worry on him at that altar. So now it's all.
Right.
So
Okay.
um, create ways,
Mm-hmm.
find closure for yourself. What
Mm-hmm.
it may look like, can't nobody tell you.
No.
You'll know what it is because you'll feel it.
Yes.
All right. You'll feel it. So find closure for you, not for them.
Right, right, right. And then we can reflect without regret. So
Mm,
when we reflect on the whole situation, and I've been doing this too, what did I learn about myself? What am I learning about myself with this process? I've learned that I need to have boundaries around myself when I'm learning going into um, roles where people would want me to mentor them or to pour into them and things like that. I have to have boundaries when I see their patterns in the way they moved in life. And
mhm.
what patterns do I need to change or keep? Well, I just spoke about that. I need to change the way not the way I give, but who I give to.
That's
That's
it.
yeah, who I give to.
Hmm.
And then because the way I give is just me, I give totally. When I feel your spirit, if I see, especially if I see some changes in you, and you, that's so rewarding to me.
Hmm.
And then I just know how to invest more wisely when I change who I am giving to.
Hmm. Hmm. You can't change your character, you
Mm-mm.
your personality. Those are just you. Those are traits that are
Mm-hmm.
within you.
Yeah.
You know, you got to just like you said, you got to move wisely and this thing move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Also have to. I would suggest. I'm not going to say have to reconnect with self and
Mm-hmm.
reconnect with yourself. Tell yourself, understand. Hey, you're not foolish for having
Mm-mm.
loved.
Exactly.
It's designed. It's by design. So we're not foolish. And as Cynthia said, those barriers, all right, those boundaries are a sign of self-respect,
Protection.
not failure.
Yeah.
It's not failure. You're not defined by how someone else's respond to your care. Here again, like I said earlier, in that counseling, I'm not responsible for how you receive what I say because I'm telling you how I feel. Right? So you're not defined by how someone else respond to your care. You're not foolish for having loved and loved the right way. Set those boundaries. Those boundaries are a sign of self-respect, not failure.
That
Talk,
is true.
connect with yourself. You know you may still be learning you, but you still know you deep down,
Mm-hmm.
right? Reconnect with yourself and your worth.
Absolutely.
Please.
Yes. And then don't forget, you guys, about the help that's out there. Val was just talking earlier about speaking with her therapist. You know, their therapy is the best thing ever, y'all. Seek support when you need it, especially when you're going through things like this, because anything that involves feelings, emotions, and grief needs to be talked about. You can't just carry all of that heavy baggage inside of you and walk around and feel normal. Speak to a therapist or a counselor. And now there are so many therapists and counselors that are online. It's just very convenient. Friends who won't minimize your pain. If you have true friends who won't minimize your pain and say, "Oh, girl, you just ain't no big deal with that." You need somebody that you can talk to, and if they know enough to actually talk to you and help you, or let you even sometimes just vent. Sometimes that's all you want to do is vent, and they can be supportive and not minimize what you're feeling. And then, if you have any supportive communities, there are a lot of supportive communities online and in person. And then here you can share your process. And the thing about that is any support group, I love support groups.
Yeah.
I love book clubs and support groups. And sometimes, honey, when we have our book club meetings, they turn into a support
group.
because when we start talking about emotions, and then there are always people in the support group who are in the Me Too club, but they're not complaining. We're just simply getting out, because in a support group, and even in my book club, we're not complaining. We're talking about an emotion, and then someone else who feels that same emotion and has some good constructive conversation to input, then they will give that and they will say me too, but it's not a complaining thing, it's constructive. And so that's always a great process to share. And then just remember that love is not wasted, it just shapes us. And even if someone didn't give back, you became more by giving to them. And the pain won't last forever. That's what I keep telling myself, honey. But it deserves to be felt. So I'm feeling it, I'm honoring it, and it will eventually be transformed. Even if that person, you know what would warm my heart so much? Even if that person feels hatred toward me now, even though they do, it would warm my heart more than anything to be able to see them change direction in their life, become successful at whatever it is that they are trying to be successful at, but just become a successful, happy human being.
Right.
That's all I want in life.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree. Great things for those individuals.
So, all right, guys. So that's what we're talking about today. And if you are experiencing anything like this, where you have to have a loss of a relationship, friendship, family member, just keep these things in mind. Don't feel bad. Seek help, conversation. But sometimes you have to put those boundaries up and deuces. Yeah, I know that's right. All right, Val, you got anything for us today?
The only thing I got today is doom 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 doom. Let it go. Doom 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 doom. Let it go. Looks like
another love TKO.
That's it. That's all.
Technical knockout. All right, Val. Thanks so much. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Especially like and subscribe, you guys, because it helps the algorithm reach other people. And we love you and thank you so much. Please leave us a comment if you have anything to say. And have a fantastic, amazing day.
Let it go.
And let it go, y'all.
I'm going to say all week long, let it go.
I know that's right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.